Welcome back to Cutting Edge. Today I'm going to show you how to make some really delicious mini ciabattas or dinner rolls that's sure to impress your guests when you put these on the table. Let's get started. I have here just shy of half a liter of lukewarm water. I'm going to give it half a teaspoon of sugar just to feed the yeast. I have 10 grams of yeast. We're going to stir this up so we get the yeast proofed. That about does it. Let's put that aside to proof. And then let's mix our dry ingredients. Here I have 600 grams of really strong wheat flour. This is W325, which means it's a really strong bread flour with a protein content of 14.5%, so really strong. 10 grams of sea salt. And we're just going to mix that up. Since we are not kneading the dough, we have to mix the dry ingredients separately before we mix in the wet ingredients. And now we let that sit for 5 minutes while the yeast proofs. When your yeast is nice and bubbly like this, then we know that it's well and alive. Then we're going to mix that in with our dry ingredients. And I'm just using a regular tablespoon to mix this very well. But be careful here with the measurements, because as I said before, it's just shy of half a liter. It's actually exactly 490 milliliter, because we are running an 82% hydration. And if you go too high on hydration, you will just end up having flatbread instead of nice ciabatta with, like crumble and holes in the crumb. And when you have a shaggy mess like this, then we're simply gonna cover it and leave it for half an hour to 45 minutes or until double in size. Time for our first strength building fold. I'm going in here with a very wet hand because of the high hydration, otherwise it will stick to everything. This is the first of 3 of these folds. What we do here is simply we lift it up as high as we can, fold it over itself like this. This will build up the gluten network and make sure that we get a good strong dough that can hold up in the oven. Like that, and then we cover it up until we are back to double in size again. After 3 flip and folds, our dough is nice, big and smooth like this. Now I'm gonna dust it liberally with flour, because remember the hydration is so high that you want this to be really well covered here on the top and on the sides. I'm gonna do the same on my work surface. Yeah, I have seen these, that throw flour like this, but then you have it all over the place. This is much easier to deal with, just as a small trick. And also, I'm going to do my tools, because they will stick. Here we have them ready. Bench cutter, all floured up. And I have a baking pan here with a sheet of baking paper that I'm going to give a layer of coarse semolina. I will give a nice texture to the bottom of our small ciabattas. Like that. First, we're going to release it from the side of the bowl with a flexible dough card. Like this. So it doesn't stick too much to the... And then we're going to flip it out. There you see. That's just beautiful. And then the bottom side here we're also going to cover with flour. And now we can start shaping our small ciabattas. Here we are with the first one. Be careful, because you don't want to degas them. And as you see here, I'm going to make them in different sizes. So the small ones, they get nice and crispy for your dinner party that day. And then you have some bigger ones, which you can use for sandwiches the next day. Once you have them all laid out like this, we're going to cover them up with a tea towel to let them rest for half an hour or something. The dough gets a little bit stressed when you form it, and you want that to relax, and then you want it to proof and rise a little bit more. Time to bake. Let's unfold these babies and see how they look.
Ooh, they look beautiful.
Good, yeah. Now I'm going to show you a couple of tricks how you bake these to perfection. First of all, you're going to spray them with water, and you're going to spray them liberally.
You're very liberal today with the flour, the water.
I'm a liberal person. And when you think you have sprayed them enough, you're going to spray them a little bit more. And the reason for that is that we want moisture in the oven room to allow them to give some oven spring, so they don't form a crust too early. So a nice amount of water. And then we're going to sprinkle them with some sea salt, because that's going to make the crust extra delicious. It's a really nice little trick. Your guests, they're going to love this. And you see with the different sizes here, we're going to get some nice one for sandwiches tomorrow also. And now I have a preheated oven running at 230, and I'm going to throw it in the middle rack, like this, actually up here in the middle rack, like that. And as you saw, I have 2 pizza stones in the bottom, and you want to let the oven preheat for at least 45 minutes to an hour, because you want them to really retain heat, because when you open, then it cools down a little bit, and you don't want that. You want them to run straight in at 230, so they really give some oven spring. Our mini ciabattas, they're ready. They have been in almost half an hour. So let's get them out on top here. And look how beautiful they look. Ooh. Absolutely gorgeous.
Beautiful color.
Now, what's important is to move them to a cooling rack, because you need them to have air all around. Otherwise, if you put them on a flat surface, the bottom will get saggy. You don't want that. You want them to have that crispy outside. That's the good part of this.
Crispy and tasty.
Exactly. Crispy and soft on the inside.